they may be his final game.
I think Dan Marino will know when it's time to retire, and only Dan Marino will.
Marino, he's about 6'4". I mean, he's got a slingshot for an arm. Mechanically, the coaches say he's just unbelievable for a freshman.
When his time comes, it's not Danny that's going to miss the game. It's going to be the game that misses Dan Marino.
Dan Marino has another record.
What a magnificent performer he has been for the Miami Dolphins.
I really think that Dan can be considered as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game.
For nearly a quarter century, he's dominated almost every field he's walked upon. Dan Marino. Icy blue eyes, cold precision, maybe the best until this year.
Marino throws over the middle. It's intercepted. Look out. Dan fires downfield. Picked off.
Oh, my God.
And this one will be tipped and intercepted. Dan Marino cannot throw the ball.
Has this been an enjoyable season for you?
No, it's been tough. It's been a tough year because when I hurt my neck and I had the disc problem and the nerve problem, there was a time when I didn't think I was going to be able to throw the ball the way that I was used to throwing for so many years. And I think I'm back to that point right now. But that was tough dealing with that because I didn't know if I was going to be able to come back.
Did you feel you came back too soon?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't think I was quite ready to come back, against Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, and I think it showed.
When you step on the Kingdome field this Sunday, is there any thought at all in your mind, this might be the last time I walk on the football field as a player?
It does enter your mind, and it has the last couple of years, because you never know what the future is going to hold for you, with injury or you're going to be mentally tough enough to come back and play another season, or you're going to enjoy the competition and everything that's involved with it. It does enter your mind some.
It's hard to imagine this game without Marino. Without the kid from Pittsburgh, the one with the arm for the ages.
He brought us from behind so many times. They called him the man. And I guess he still is Dan the man.
Teenage heroics that still echo in empty locker rooms.
I used to open up the weight room around 7:30 in the morning. There'd be Dan Marino jumping rope for at least a half hour before I showed up on the scene.
The Dolphins select quarterback Dan Marino of Pittsburgh.
Super Bowl 19 is history, and the 49ers are the champions of professional football.
Plan to go back here? I hope so. I hope we get another chance. You don't get here too often, so, you have to make the most of it when you get a chance to play in the Super Bowl, but hopefully we'll have another chance.
Not achieving the one goal of winning a Super Bowl, I think, is a disappointment from my personal standpoint, because I would really like to know what that feels like, to be in a Super Bowl and win.
Can you walk away from the game one day without that being achieved and feel comfortable with your career?
I'm comfortable with my career right now, regardless, and I think I was, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I haven't achieved that yet. I could be happy with my career, but...
And Aronde gets in such a big target. Dan Marino likes laying the ball up to him. That time, sees the middle of the field open, throws it. He goes up, makes the catch. 24-yard pickup, first and goal at the 5. J.J. Johnson to the 2. Jay Bellamy in on the stop. Clock continues to move up on 5 minutes to play here in regulation. What a drive by the Dolphins. It all started back. Dan Marino backed up in his own end zone, anticipates a big in cut by Tony Martin, throws it in there. Tony Martin makes a tremendous catch. Second and goal. The pitch to Johnson. Cuts it back. Touchdown. Jimmy Johnson told us, if I have my druthers, I'd like to keep it close and win it in the fourth quarter. And they are winning this game for a couple reasons. Oh, look at Jimmy Johnson. It kind of shows you if a team is not playing well coming into the playoffs that you can turn it around. You have to go back to some basics. The Dolphins did it. They played a solid game today, I think, because of that reason.
Olindo Mare's kick is good. The Miami Dolphins have come back to grab the lead, 20-17, 4:48 to play in the fourth.
At Maryland, we're still bullish.
From Wall Street to the world.
Right now, when you choose from the lowest priced minivan to the ultimate, you can get $1,500 cash allowance or 0.9% APR, which means you can save over $4,700 in finance charge savings on Chrysler Town & Country and the popular Voyager. Now, get $1,500 cash allowance or 0.9% APR on all minivans at your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer today.
The co-creator of NYPD Blue takes you inside Angels of Mercy Hospital.
Does this sort of thing happen a lot? Depends how you characterize a lot.
City of Angels, special premiere CBS next Sunday.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM. Are you ready for e-business? And by the United States Army. Be all you can be.
Seattle fans are a little quieter. Dan Marino engineered an 11-play, 85-yard drive. J.J. Johnson's 2-yard touchdown, and the Dolphins have the lead. Charlie Rogers from the goal line. Hits just outside the 20 and falls forward to about the 22 or 23-yard line before being driven back. And onto the field comes John Kitna, who probably has not experienced pressure quite like this. His second half doesn't begin to measure up to his first half.
Well, I don't know if it's John Kitna. He kept him in the game, even if that he made the Dolphins go on that long drive because of his throws the last series. But the difference, the Dolphin defense has applied the pressure all day long.
And whistle blow, flag fly, and a false start on the Seahawks.
False start. Offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Sean Dawkins on the far side of the field.
You know, Greg, you said too, the Seattle Seahawks, 1 timeout left. So if they get a couple first downs here and they move this ball out, it's got to change their outlook. They got to start thinking about maybe it's a 4-down territory.
First and 15. Getting under the gun and down he goes at the 15-yard line. Trace Armstrong, number 3 on the day.
Couple things happen. Man coverage down the field, tight coverage, but just watch the defensive line of the Miami Dolphins. They just push the pocket, crush it, and Trace Armstrong falls off the block and makes the sack.
Kitna has been sacked 5 times today. 3 of them belong to Armstrong.
And that time, Lorenzo Bromell inside, pushed the center, Chris Stray back, allowed Trace Armstrong to get the sack.
On second down. Kitna down again. Jerry Wilson and Rich Owens.
Just about all day long, except the first pass attempt by John Kitna. Here comes Wilson sees his guy blocked, so he comes in. He had the tight end in coverage. When the tight end Fourier blocked, he came on the blitz and got the sack. They have been coming free today on the blitz. John Kitten has been getting away from them, but not in this series.
Seattle needs the 33-yard line for a first down. Getting up, caught again. Trace Armstrong has been all over the backfield.
I'd say he's the third down pass rushing specialist. Trace Armstrong, 93 on the outside. Just keeps working. What a job by Trace Armstrong.
The Dolphins, 7 quarterback sacks on the day. Beagles to kick to Nate Jaquette. High kick. Jaquette from the 36. Midfield, 40 to the 38-yard line, and great field position for the Miami Dolphins. With 2:52 to play, we remind you tonight on CBS, if you or someone close to you is thinking about adopting a child, you don't want to miss 60 Minutes. Also, Ed Bradley talks with Denzel Washington. Then it's an all-new Touched by an Angel, followed by the People's Choice Award. That's all tonight, and it's all right here on CBS. Fabian Bowens is the Seattle Seahawk down on the field at the 35-yard line.
Well, you look at this second half, there's Trace Armstrong. You look at it, the Miami Dolphins, except for the kickoff return, physically, the offense and defensive line, they have won the battle. Greg, how many times do we say, when your big guys win the battle, that lets those small guys become the stars? And Dan Marino given the chances, along with his receivers, making the plays, and the defensive line has just been terrific the whole second half for the Miami Dolphins.
Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins trying to snap a losing streak on the road that goes all the way back to December of 1972 in Pittsburgh. The Dolphins have lost 7 road games in the playoffs since then.
Let's take a look at the play selection for the Miami Dolphins. 33 rushes, 31 passes.
Phil, Jimmy Johnson's a man of his word.
Well, he is. Well, listen, he was only able to keep his word because the defense played well, kept the game close, let him be patient, and over time, because of his patience, it let his offensive line be physical, it let them get in the game, it kept the Seattle crowd out of the game as much as they could, and that's put all those together, that's why they're winning the game right now.
Marino, 17 of 30, 196 yards and a touchdown. Autry Denson swarms across the 40 to the 39-yard line. And Seattle uses its third and final timeout. That man, Mike Holmgren, in his first season here in Seattle, but has never lost a playoff game at home in his head coaching career in the NFL.
Well, he's tearing up an official right now. Now there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. The Dolphins, if you're going to run the football, you need a run. It's going to eat up a couple seconds because once the play's done, that 40-second clock starts again. You get under 2:40, of course, the Dolphins can let it run to the 2-minute warning.
If Miami wins, the Dolphins move on to Jacksonville next weekend to play the Jaguars, and Tennessee goes to Indianapolis. But there's still plenty of time. The pitch for Denson. Wrapped up for a loss by Chris Canty, number 26. And the Dolphins will not run another play before the 2-minute warning sounds.
No, they'll do the right thing, but Seattle play and run all the way. Safety, defensive back, Chris Canty up near the line of scrimmage, just play and run. Doing the right thing, and now it comes down to what do the Miami Dolphins want to do on this third down? Do you want to run it to keep the clock moving, or do you try to throw it to get close enough for a field goal or to pick up the first down?
Are the Miami Dolphins 2 minutes away from Jacksonville? Jimmy Johnson hopes so. 20-17 Miami. We're back after this. Craig, Randy, Jerry, highlights of this game, recap of all the weekend playoff action, all coming up on the American General post-game show. 3rd and 15. They'll keep it on the ground, and Benson is wrapped up by Darren Smith.
That is the right call. Run the football, keep the clock moving, punt it. Let your defense, which is the big reason why you win the game, let them try to hold on for you.
Charlie Rogers will go back to receive the punt. An 85-yard kickoff return in this game. And take a look at that number on Tom Hutton. Rogers with the 85-yard return. He was the #1 punt returner in the NFL in the regular season. And they let the play clock expire. And we'll back it off another 5 yards. Clock is down to 1:12.
Well, that's not really, it's not to get to 5 yards. You don't even care about that. It's just about taking every single second possible off that clock before you snap the football.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty remains 4th down.
Should the Miami Dolphins win, there will be 3 Florida teams in action in the playoffs on Saturday. Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay.
You must have majored in geography.
Hutton, high floater. Charlie Rogers, fair catch at the 11-yard line. So the Seattle Seahawks, with no timeouts remaining, are 89 yards away from the end zone. They need 3 points to tie it up and send it to overtime.
Well, the big thing is, how do you play offense if you're the Seattle Seahawks? I think you got to keep a back or somebody in on the right side of that offensive line, because that's where Trace Armstrong and everybody, the Dolphins are beating up the right side of Seattle's offensive line. Got a tight end right there this time.
Joey Galloway flanked to the near side of the field. Kitna over the middle, incomplete. Guess who was in on John Kitna?
Well, Grant Williams just not quick enough. Trace Armstrong, it's almost like he's got a little signal over there we don't know about. But watch how quick he gets off the football and gets that shoulder down, gets around the corner. John Kitna has no chance. You've got to keep it back in the backfield.
62 seconds to play. Kitna on the move, throws, it is tipped and incomplete. Zach Thomas almost had the interception.
Well, at least he had a chance to throw it. That time they doubled Trace Armstrong to the right, and Zach Thomas, late in the game, I guess he gets tired, but this ball is right. It is right to him. It's an easy interception. Well, it's easy for me to say. I have made all those tackles and run around for a couple hours.
Zach has played his usual active, involved football game.
Well, he was right. He's been begging for the Dolphins to go back to the old style, how they play football, and it's worked so far today.
3rd down. Kitna throws far side, almost picked off by Sam Madison, who's tied for the lead in interceptions in the NFL this year with 7. 4th down.
Well, if this Dolphin defense and team can hang on, they will go down next week with confidence and the swagger. That's what made this defense. It's got some good players on it, some pretty solid corners, but they have a swagger and a way about playing. And look what the Seahawks, they average and how they struggle today.
4th down. Kitna steps up, throws over the middle. Sean Dawkins complete for a 1st down. Clock is moving, 40 seconds to play.
Nice job by John Kitna, just buying time, moving around.
And he kills the clock at 35 seconds.
It's almost what you got to count on if you're the Seattle Seahawks offense. And John Kitna, watch this, he drops back. The Dolphins, now they're just going all out trying to get to the quarterback. Look at that lane that's created, and he makes the perfect throw. Still not quite relaxed on the Miami sideline. 2nd and 10. Remember, Seattle, no timeout. Kitna throws it away.
There is no problem against Browning, the quarterback that rolled out of the pocket.
There you go. That was a nice job. Nice job, Tony Corrente. He just gets that argument done right away. He goes over the PA system.
Jimmy Johnson was, as energetic as I've seen him in a while on the sideline. For those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The Miami Dolphins and the Seattle Seahawks. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, 20-17 Miami. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. Kitna with time, throws, near side, kicks off. Terrell Buckley.
What a break and what a catch by Terrell Buckley. The player that Jimmy Johnson was probably more concerned about than anybody. And he said, this guy, when he is scared, and he said he's scared coming into the game today, he plays his best football. Look at that catch. And John Kitna, not a bad decision, not even a bad throw. You've got to take chances in these situations. But Terrell Buckley comes up to the play, and look at Dan Marino. He has won a lot of football games in his career, but the adversity and what he's gone through this year, I promise you, this is a sweet moment for him.
And with a knee, that will do it. The Miami Dolphins qualify to move on to Jacksonville. Tennessee will play Indianapolis on Sunday. Miami and Jacksonville Saturday. Jimmy Johnson, last word in our meeting last night. We can win this football game. Once again, our final score, Miami 20 and Seattle 17. Coming up next on CBS, except in the Pacific time zone, watch 60 Minutes. But first, we'll send you to our NFL on CBS studios for the American General postgame show right after these messages. For Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, I'm Greg Gumbel. So long from Seattle, you've been watching the NFL on CBS.
The American General Financial Group, live the life you've imagined, presents A Season to Remember.